Okay, you should be officially recording now. So last week we talked about the Human Drive for Challenge, and this session we're going to talk about creative expression. So creative expression is really all about how you share your unique identity to the world. It's about sensing and exhibiting like the true you. It's about voicing your ideas and just living your, just leaving your authentic mark on the world. So today we're going to talk more about getting in touch with your creative side and living just more strategically, living more creatively, like expressing who we are all the time. And this is really more important than most people think, because if we lose touch with our creative expression, then we tend to lose touch with what is uniquely us. And this loss of connection with ourselves can, obviously lead to unhappiness or unfulfillment. And it also happens to be the best way to, guarantee that you're not in alignment with your purpose if you're not living your unique self. So doing, a good job at work, for instance, is no longer enough. Like you may have noticed this over the years, like today you have to add value to the workplace, and your competitive advantage is your creative input, your collaborations, you showing up 100% authentic to who you are. And your role at work these days, like it tends to be more judged on how well you create new ideas that help your clients and colleagues to tap into their fullest potential and express themselves more fully. So creative expression is really, really important, not just in our personal lives and, to have creativity in our hobbies, but also in our professions, whether we're in a creative field or not. Like we're talking about creativity in a little bit of a broader context here. So Amaya, thank you for joining us. Sorry, we got started without you, but we're glad that you're here now. So before we jump into the session, I just want to kind of go around and ask, what does creative expression mean to each of you? Like, how do you think of creative expression? And let's try and just get kind of like a shared understanding or definition of what we're referring to when we use that term creative expression. So who has thoughts? What does creative expression mean to you?
Maybe I'll start. I have found that I enjoy writing, and so that when I find ways, is it like a policy writing or explaining budget memos, I still get compliments from people that I explained it well, and I find that is part creative, because how you write. And then if I can do some more visuals with colors and it's aesthetically pleasing, people comment that they get the idea quickly. That's my kind of at work. And at home, I felt like some of the cooking that to enjoy, and then how you display it in a plate and how you arrange it, it's more than pleasing, that it's not a chore just to, you have to feed and eat and but it's pleasant, you want to take a photo and, that's just a home meal, but it feels it's like in a restaurant, it's, I don't know, it feels good. That's my two creative expressions.
Yeah, so creative expression to you is expressing yourself, your ideas, your food, whatever it is, in a way that makes you feel good, right? And it makes you feel good because it's uniquely you. Yeah? Yep. Amazing. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Amaya or Angel, do you have any other thoughts on what creative expression means as a definition to you?
For me, it's anytime you can use your imagination to do something, to achieve a goal or something, be it just coloring or you said cooking, because I enjoy cooking myself. And while you're doing this and using your imagination, it's like time flies by, you're floating, there's joy, peace, and you're just in it, and it's a great time. And that's kind of a creative expression, I think, when you can tap into that. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really cool. Just tying it to imagination, because your imagination is yours and yours only. So it's uniquely you. So it makes sense that if you can tap into your imagination, then you're creatively expressing yourself to the world. I think that's a really cool way to look at it. Amaya, do you have any additional thoughts?
No, I think that is similar to what Milda and Angel said, but the only thing that I will add is that I have been studying about well-being, and the best way to connect with creativity is when you are in the full network in your brain. So that means that you have time for wonder. So sometimes we think that we are losing our time, but it's not like that. You are allowing your brain to just express, and the brain expresses through colors, images, words, songs, different ways that are unconscious to the rational mind. So I would say that a creative expression is also different ways of knowing and understanding, that is not only verbally or written, it's more than that. It has many, it's more than that, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really interesting. Okay, I'm going to start by asking a question. If you pull out your journals or however you're taking notes. Love it, Angel. How can you activate more self-expression or self-creativity in your work? So think of work as your job. What do you do for a living? And how can you activate more creativity or self-expression into that? I'll give you a couple minutes to think on this one. And I'll give you about 30 seconds to wrap up your thoughts here. All right, who wants to share their thoughts on how you can be more creative, how you can bring more creative expression to work?
I can speak.
Thanks, Milda.
So I like those mind maps. I think I was doing them. So to me, that helps sometimes to kind of visualize and draw, things together. And I think it's, pretty creative, like how you can show things. I was thinking some of the things it's kind of maybe, I like to, what Amaya was saying, I like to put flowers in front of me. So I see that I have a computer screen and I have flowers. And I really like that I have this or some nice picture, or a card like that. So I just kind of meditate on that, like for a second, like sometimes just look at the flower and then turn back to the emails or so on. So I think that helps me. It just, kind of get my mind somewhere else. And in some ways I put down, I don't know, I envy people. We have a team where people are so fast to find really appropriate, gifts, like images in chat to the moment to put some humor in it. I'm like, what keyword did you use to find it? Like I struggle, like to me, it's like it takes, 10 minutes to find it, and others are so fast. So I feel like, but I find it entertaining at work and pretty creative and like expressing what the general feel is of a team. Because we're, you don't see the body language of people, but like you get that like diffuse of any tension or just like, kind of, sympathize with others of what's happening through those some funny expressions. But
yeah, those are great examples. And you're right. Like I never thought of gifts as creative expression, but they really are. There's so many to choose from, and you can really get to know somebody based on those little videos or memes that they share with people.
Yep. So
that's hilarious. And I'm glad you're using the mind maps. That is a beautiful way to tap into creativity because it kind of brings together the writing element and the visual element together. So makes it even stronger. So cool that you're still using that tool. Really good to hear. How about Angel or Maya? How can you bring more creative expression into your work?
So with me, I just put sketch more. I've been sketching less these days. And then I also put be present with what you're doing, like whatever the task is, just actually like be there. And I just like, oh, I gotta do something else later. And you're just like on autopilot. I just feel like you're missing out on a lot of stuff in front of you that is beautiful and creative. I don't know, just pay attention. And then I also put like setting up a process. Like if you actually have like a work and you actually don't have your process set, like building that process is fun for me. So I think that's creative. So if you just always do this task, make an Excel sheet and just write it out. And I think that's one way you can creatively make it better even. And then on what I'm like on current jobs or current tasks, I always try to find where I could add value more. It's like if it's like a patch or a leak, I'll be like, oh, we can do this here. And then I always bring that in. And then the one I went off first most was to schedule and follow through on being creative time, which would be like sketching time or whatever. Because if I keep showing up every day, not every day I'm gonna feel creative, but if I just follow the process and keep doing it, I'll be creative more times and I will produce more. So I think that would just help, period. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Like you don't always feel creative, but that doesn't mean you can't be creative. And I don't remember exactly how you said that, but the more you show up to be creative, the more creative you are. Is that similar?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like you might not be creative every day, but at 9 a.m. you're creative every single day and you'll just produce it because it's part of your schedule instead of being like, oh, I'm creative today, I'm not creative today. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna work 1 hour on this creative thing, like sketching, and then you just keep sketching every day, and then there'll be flow states, and then you can add on, you can build instead of just like, oh, well, maybe tomorrow I'll be creative, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, so just having the space for that type of creative thought and action and time, and it's really important because neurologically, like being in touch with your creative side means that you're typically activating the right side of your brain, right? Like that's the hemisphere that processes the big picture thinking. It interprets the things that we say, and it's like, you know, it visualizes your future and all those other things. So in high performance, we think of this as kind of like the disruptive seat of the mind, and allowing us to deconstruct and, you know, kind of rethink how things are. So if we act against the conventional and recreate ourselves in the world around us, like that's when we're really stepping into creativity. That's when we're stepping into what some people refer to as flow states. Like that's when we lose ourselves in time. And that's where things just feel right. And they feel right because we're in full alignment with who we are. So creativity is like, as you are all touching on, it's so much more than what we typically think of in terms of creativity and creative writing and creative drawing and creative stuff like that. But it's even deeper. It's expressing ourselves no matter what the medium is. And that could be writing, that could be art, that could be our voice, that could be singing, or that could be just expressing ourselves to ourselves, right? It's not necessarily about expressing ourselves to other people all the time, but being in full creative expression means that we're just fully aligned with who we are. So we're not doing it for anybody else necessarily. So when you're doodling and sketching, you're not doing that for other people necessarily. You're doing it because you want to tap into your creativity. And it's a really cool process. So thank you so much for sharing that example. Really, really good. Sorry, I went on this big tangent.
It was great. It was awesome.
Okay.
Oh, and Milda, check out Giphy.com. Or if you have an iPhone and you can get a Gboard, on my iPhone, I literally just swipe to the right and I have a Giphy section and I just search whatever and boom, I have like an infinite amount of Giphies. And so they always tell me, oh, you're so good at it. How do you do it? I'm like, Gboard. That's how I do it. Really
now
good.
Milda knows she's going to up her game.
But it is fun because I like seeking the right one and boom, it's great.
Yeah, there's nothing better than getting that when it makes you laugh. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Amaya, any thoughts on how you can bring more creativity or creative expression to your work?
Yes, here I was thinking that especially in the academic sector, you have like a way to show a presentation, the way how you write a paper, and sometimes can be very boring. And I think that that is something that we have to change, especially if we want to have new people to join the academic work and understand the work that people working in science are doing. So I think that it's very important to use photos and art to express, and also video, especially now the young generations are using a lot of TikTok. I think that is something that maybe I could learn to use, you know, but to explain things that I do in my work rather than being dancing on the video, you know, like using this type of creative ways to express myself and my work, and then reach to more people, because at the end, if you write something, you want many people to be able to access to that knowledge. So I was thinking in that, but then I was realizing that I need to be very bold to be in that rhythm.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. To make a difference in the work that I do, and not be afraid that many people will judge or think that that is weird, you know. So yeah, it was an interesting thought.
Yeah, really interesting. And I love how you kind of started with, you know, in academia, there's a way you write a report. There's a way you do a presentation. And it reminds me of a recent example of a friend who is applying for new jobs and asked for my help in reviewing her resume. And she sent me her resume, and I'm expecting a typical resume. You know, they're very similar in format, similar in content. And it was amazing. It was literally a story of her career. So she combined like her cover letter and her CV or resume into one. And she had like a nice sidebar with a picture of herself and some graphics and just like highlights and bullet points. And the rest of it was almost in story format. And I had never seen that before. And I was like, what a fantastic example of creative expression. Like, especially through a resume, which is so personal and so you, like, you can alter from the norm. You can make it more yourself by just taking a little bit of time and thinking about, how do I express myself on this piece of paper in a way that people can understand and hear me? And it was probably the most successful resume I've ever seen. So it was really cool to just kind of see someone thinking outside the box in such a, conventional, piece of paper. So just thought I would share that.
Thank you.
Okay, so in addition to your work life, like, I would love for you to think next on, like, how about your personal life? How can you activate more self-expression in your personal life? This one's a little bit harder, so I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. All right, I'll give you a couple more seconds here. So what thoughts came up for how you can bring more self-creativity, self-expression into your personal life?
I can start. I was thinking in learning new recipes because food is very important. So I could bring more creativity by searching recipes that I never have eaten, or maybe I haven't cooked, but I know that I like. So that could be to bring more creativity to my life. Also to changing the way how I dress every day. Challenging myself to use, sometimes I have these beautiful clothes that I only wear for special occasions, for example. So why not wearing that clothes in a common day, just to express what type of colors do you like, or textures or things, as a way of expression. Also to wear different jewelry or things that I like, because I really like all these artistic expressions of that you can wear. So I was thinking in that, then making more photos and videos, and then visiting new places, like new restaurants or going to museums, like finding new ways to have fun time with my family.
Yeah, those are all wonderful examples. So what are you going to do first?
Tomorrow, wear something colorful, for example, because the beginning of spring, so why not wearing something that I haven't during the winter?
Excellent. I love it. That's a great list. Angel or Milda, what came up for you?
I wrote down sketch again and then ride my bike, make time for it. I wrote text someone different every day, and then I can also like draw my messages out because that's kind of something I used to do. Like I would write it out, but like in a drawing form. And it'll be like, I don't know, small little thing, little overlapping sentence or something. Take more photos, just like even carry my camera because I used to either carry my book or my camera like all the time. Just do that. Just hold on to it, and then while I'm sitting somewhere, oh, my book. I don't know. And just like say hi to more people. I don't know, talk to strangers more. That's about it. That's all I have.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you said you used to have your camera or sketchbook around you more often and you stopped doing that. What do you think the change is going to be if you start carrying your camera around, your sketchbook? Like, what's the change going to be there?
Just more content, period. Like on my book, it'll be finished, and it's like, and then I go back and like I look and review stuff, and I'm like, oh, this one has potential. Oh, I should keep working on this one. Things like that. Even I don't know, an idea can come up, and when I have the book, just write it down. Yeah, I have it on my phone sometimes when it's that level of ideas, but even just like lesser, so it's much faster with the pencil and a book. And with the camera, I would just look at everyday objects or whatever, and I would just try to find the different angle or the beauty in it, and it's like right here, so I'll just try to see it, and I'll do that. Like I have it scheduled for Wednesdays at 4:30, just to like pick up your camera or do something for photographic or edit images. So I just need to keep doing that.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's awesome just to walk around with the camera and just notice the beauty that you didn't see yesterday. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And the whole carrying the notebook around thing, like that's a high performance habit. Like most high performers always have something to write on with them, no matter where they are, even if it's a little notepad like tucked in their pocket or something like that, because you never know when creativity is going to strike or good ideas come about, or you meet somebody new and you don't have your phone on you and you want to write down their phone number or whatever, or you just get inspired to sketch what you're feeling to just get that creativity out. So that's a beautiful practice and a habit that I think we all can really take advantage of. And it's super, super simple. So I love the idea of carrying around a notebook or a sketch pad or something just to capture what you're thinking and feeling on paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Angel. How about you, Melda?
So a bit similar to maybe Amaya. I mean, some of the things come as I like to buy clothes in some bold colors, even though, again, I was like, Mom, what did you buy? Like, right. I'm like, oh, come on. But then I think I am really learning more about colors. So even with like to match them pieces, like the pants are that bright yellow, like not everything matches, even I thought it would. And then similar, we have some interior design projects at home where my husband by this is an architect. I get always lectured that I don't see colors at all, according to him. So I'm learning more, and I really appreciate how much he sees in colors and like different ways. And to me, it takes years to notice that, like, oh yeah, that was like a really good pick. Like, why did it take a month to figure it out? So I think that's that's one aspect where I find more expression now. And then the other is, I don't know, I like wrapping gifts and finding interesting cards. So I now make more of a point to really like allocating that budget and really think about the really good wrapping paper and a card that's part of like, sometimes you can come up with ideas, there's nothing to really like, everyone has stuff like, So the wrapping, the presentation, it's part of that excitement, and then like investing in that to find the right wrapping paper and a good card to write things, that's part of expressing that giving kind of concept.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful example, like something so simple, but something so impactful, right? It's like, how much better do you feel when you get a gift from somebody that's wrapped in wrapping paper or in a way presented to you that you're like, oh, that's totally me. That person really thought about me. Like, it makes a difference. And then it makes you feel good for being able to make that person feel good. And that's the power of creative expression, is just getting to that next level. And it is reflected in the clothes that we wear. It is reflected in the glasses we have on our face and how we wear our hair. Like, that is a very, very direct and obvious expression of our own creativity and what makes all of us unique. So how many of you have ever had like a job where maybe you had to wear clothes that you weren't really comfortable in or didn't want to, but you had to wear that business suit, or you had to look this professional, or you couldn't dye your hair red kind of thing? And how did that make you feel? Not good.
It's a job with a uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. Amaya, you can relate?
Yes, of course.
Oh
Very
yeah,
bad.
definitely.
Yeah, and it sucks.
Uh-huh.
It like takes your power away from you. Like, I remember when I first graduated college, I still had, black and red crazy hair, and I was kind of goth in college. So I had a lot of black clothes, I had a lot of piercings, and I started at Flad, Milda. And I didn't see any clients until I dyed my hair brown and started wearing normal professional clothes. And to me, that was like, oh, I can't have piercings anymore. How do I express myself? Like, oh, I need to get a whole new closet. And as soon as I started like looking the part, that's when I became more successful, and my boss would put me in front of clients. And that was like my first wake up call of, wow, I have to not be myself in order to do my job. And it was really, really tough. So I know all of you can relate to that in some way, in some point in your lives. And just remember, like, don't let other people tell you what you have to look like or who you have to be or how you express yourself. If it doesn't feel good inside of you, then it's probably not good in the long run. So if anyone ever makes you feel uncomfortable like that, just take a step back and just question, is this authentically me? Or is this something I feel like I have to do for somebody else? And you'll know the answer pretty quickly. So this next question kind of ties into that a little bit. And that is, what crazy idea have you had recently that you felt would maybe be too risky for you to express? So think of a situation or an idea or something you wanted to do that you just feel is too risky to express to other people. And spend some time here, because this is a deep one. And I'm just going to say up front, if you don't feel comfortable sharing what you come up with this group, I'm not going to force you to share. I want you to be comfortable. So be really honest in this conversation with yourself. All right, did anybody come up with anything that they would like to share with the group?
I can share something. Today I was reviewing a document that a colleague of mine wrote that was like 60 pages, I think. And another colleague, he made a summary of that document, and now it's maybe 5 or 7 pages. And when I was reading, I was thinking, here we have too many words, and this could be an infographic, you know, one page with some images, very easy to understand, that you could post on Instagram, post on social media. But of course, they are keep thinking in creating a blog or, you know, a very long document. But because I'm part of a new generation that I like images and only a few words to explain something,
Yeah.
I was thinking I should tell these people this, but then I regret and I said, this is too crazy for them to understand. So
what do you think you're gonna do?
I already told them we should do an infographic, and the only person that said, yeah, that is a wonderful idea is younger than me. And we both are just assistants in the project, you know, and the other people are senior professors, you know, so it's hard for us to communicate with them sometimes.
Yeah, well, kudos to you for expressing yourself in that situation, knowing that they might not understand, but you still had the courage to step up and share what you were feeling and thinking anyway. And it doesn't always go the direction we want to, of course, but the fact that you were able to express that, at least you're being authentic to who you are, right?
Yeah.
So don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as I tried. Like I did my best to share what I thought would be a good idea. And if people don't accept it, that's okay. That's okay. It's their choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Milda or Angel, did you want to share anything?
Sure. Well, mine were kind of, I don't know, I think they're more general, but I was like, I can't think of a specific time, but it's like this definitely had to happen like in the recent past, or I guess the not applying somewhere because of, I don't know, I won't get the job or something. That was probably further back. Also put like, didn't, I don't know, approach a group of people or a stranger, a potential client, or didn't voice to like a stranger. I overheard them talking about something that I could definitely help or something. Or what else did I put? There was just one time I can still recall that my friend needed help, but they were having an argument and I didn't want to step in, but I feel like I could have easily diffused everything and just done. And I remember do it to this day. See, it's still there, so I should just done it. And let's see. Yeah, that's about it. And that's kind of where it was. 'Cause I was like, I don't know, the question felt bigger than my answers. That's kind of how I feel right now.
Well, that's okay. You can always go back and think about it later. Okay. But I think you brought up, I thought you brought up a really good one. I mean, all of them are good. The one that really stuck out to me was talking to strangers.
Yeah, like approach a group or
yeah,
or like on a bench and you sit there and I'm like, oh yeah, hi. But it's like, I don't even like small talk. Like to actually like try to do that, no, like no thanks. Like, so it's just like, oh, it's like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, and especially in situations where, like you mentioned, like sometimes I feel like I can't step in if it's a stranger, but I feel like I can help them in some way or solve a problem. Like that's a struggle. That's real. And a lot of us are hesitant to kind of share that side with us or share our work or share our ideas with people because it's just a little bit uncomfortable, right? But if we can share those things, it's not an act of self-promotion, it's an act of self-expression. And I think that's what stops us sometimes, especially when it comes to like work. Like, for instance, if I meet somebody and I feel like, well, maybe they could benefit from coaching, but do I always have the courage to tell them that? No, because sometimes I feel like it's promoting myself and that's really uncomfortable and I don't want to be that person. But when I think of it as, you know what, it's actually self-expression. This person is reaching out and I happen to be here and talking with them. So maybe we're meant to meet and maybe I should offer that. So you don't have to, you know, if you don't put your ideas out in the world, then no one else can benefit from them, I guess is what I'm saying. And when you feel like you're in touch with your creative side and you're expressing yourself consistently, like you just feel more alive and more engaged. And that kind of gives you the energy to keep doing it. And you just, you know, kind of sense this unique place and perspective in the world. And you just have a greater sense of happiness in who you are. So if you ever find yourself in that situation again, where do I talk to the stranger? Do I offer them my services or my work or my ideas or my products or any of those things? Just remember, like, this isn't about me. This is about expressing who I am to somebody who I think can benefit and making the world a better place through that. So if we just kind of like change the lens that we're thinking about it, sometimes that's all it takes to make a huge impact in somebody else's life that you didn't even expect.
All right. Challenge.
Thanks for sharing, Angel. Milda, did you have anything you wanted to share?
I feel like they recently did one of those. So I kind of talked with the, you know, how I want to get a job in Lithuania with American salary, and I am negotiating with them an agreement. And I, you know, I was like prepared for months, but like I said the amount, and they never even like questioned it. Right? Like they didn't try to negotiate, and it's a large amount. And so I was like, okay, and you know, so it did take me a long time, that courage to speak up. And you know how you say that you have the video on, and I was like, you know, what space do you have? And sort of like you say that amount and see what happens, right? Like, you know, be prepared. And then another is, I do want to apply for a Fulbright scholarship. Kind of, so I was just thinking, I need to. I finally figured, like, this one professor that I used to have years ago that I want to connect. I have like connect with her once in a while to kind of really ask for some input on how to approach, because I have ideas, but like they're not tying in my head like completely how to write that proposal that would, like, I know how it benefits the home country. I know how it benefits me. I don't know how it benefits US precisely. So, you know, I have to tell them that's the funders, right? So I kind of have like, I was preparing like I should text her, like see if we can have a call and so on. So it's like, you know, it's not that risky, but it's like I have to like still start saying that this is what I want to do. And I think I'm, you know, I'm worth, like I can apply for it, right? Like it's not out of reach.
Yeah, I love that. This is what I want to do and it's not out of reach. Tell yourself that next time you feel a little uncomfortable or you feel like you're not going to go for something because you don't see it exactly how it should be. Like perfection is not realistic. But congratulations on your negotiations. That's fantastic. And I love that you just kind of showed up with, this is what I need. And there was no rebuttal. So that just goes to show that sometimes we build up these ideas in our head around, oh gosh, they're negotiate, it's going to be too much. They're not going to think I'm worth it. Like whatever those things are going on in our head, just let them go. Just ask for what you need, be who you are, and see what comes of it. Because so many times, like, you're not going to get that pushback like you expect. People are usually much more accommodating than we expect them to be. But when we truly own who we are and ask for what we need, like that's when the conversation gets going. And that's the only way we get to a resolution that we're happy with. So congratulations to you for taking that step. That's fantastic. Okay, I have one last question for you guys. And this is, if you were to create something that added a ton of value to those around you, either in close proximity or the world, just if you were to create something that added a ton of value, what would you create and why? All right, I'll give you a couple more seconds here. Okay, who wants to share something that if they created would add value to the people around them?
Oh, I have something. It's like, I mean, I've thought about it for a while now. I call it mastering the brand, and it's like it would just teach other designers that like branding, so teach them what I do. And not only would I do that, and that's right there, that's already well and good, but like to build that class or whatever setup, I would have to like be posting about it, like building my content up, actual resources I'll be developing. There'll be social proof. There'll be a potential revenue stream if it got to that level. I would learn more about my craft. I would be writing more. It would just be more somewhere to point people to like my actual content. But that's just something that's always been there, and I would really want to do that. Like the polished level, upper level would be called mastering the brand, but I feel like there's just like blog posts or whatever that I have to like be doing that. I mean, I kind of already started on that too, and just have it built. And like once it's more full, I guess, then I do that other tier. And then they could also be a lead magnet while it's starting. Like right now, it could be like, oh, you can check out the 5 easy mistakes. I don't know, whatever it is. But yeah, and I'll point them, and it's my website, and boom, 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 all that's there is great. And that would actually be a resource or a module or a guide or whatever later on. But just publishing my content, I guess, would be the first step.
So mastering the brand, that's an awesome name for it. First of all, I love that. It would definitely bring value, more value to you and people around you for sure. So the thing about creativity is translating it from inspiration into something real, right? It's like we all have creative ideas, but creativity isn't just about ideas. It's about the physical form. The idea is the spark, and then the physical form becomes the outcome eventually. So like having, an idea for a book is not necessarily creativity. It's a thought, but putting your pen to paper and starting the real process, like that's the creative expression. It ends up in something. So you said you kind of started on this already. So what have you started doing, and why have you stalled?
So like on my Evernote, I've done before like 30 days of better writing, just like every day you write something. And I have like, so I'm part of a community, and he has like a whole little spiel, and it's literally just show up, read the prompt, write about that, and you can write about whatever you want. And so I've done that several times. And so I know I do have some me, and it's like, I leave it at a level where it's kind of like already polished. Like I'll go through it again, bold things, edit it. And then like, it's just standalone, even put a title on it sometimes. And then it just sits there. I mean, exactly, it just sits there on my Evernote. Like that's the problem. But yeah, so just keep that going, and they get developed, and just somewhere to point people. Oh, also on Quora, I answer questions on Quora, doing that more. And I got to like the paid level. I got like one answer that got fire, I guess. I'm like, cool, this is how it feels like. I just need to do this 100 more times.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking inspired action. You have so much creativity inside of you and all of these wonderful thoughts. It's just putting them to action. And that takes time, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to have mastering the brand completely polished
tomorrow,
next week, probably not even next month, but little bitty pieces of it come together and then form that masterpiece in the future.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's exactly it. Like I need those little pieces already, like they're like there. I just need, there's like a little gap, I guess, in the bridge of publish or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a gap. So take one small inspired action every day towards that goal. Something tiny, just something tiny.
Definitely.
That's it.
I call it my 1% of your goal. What can I do today?
1%. Yeah, do 1%. That's a great way to look at it. So it's not overwhelming, but something that you can actually do that might only take 5 minutes. It doesn't have to take 2 hours a day. Just something small. You got this, Angel. We can't wait to see Mastering the Brand someday. Milda or Maya, what were your thoughts on this?
I put down, so I feel like I've done it, and I used to be on quite a few nonprofit boards, and these are all volunteer, and I think there's a lot of value. There's a lot of work to really kind of bring organizations to have more budget goals for like when they do an event and how much money they want to acquire, and that kind of grant writing, if where to find it, and it's sort of, or creative ways, and just organizational structure is being organized with like meeting agenda minutes and like posting things and like using a little bit of technology. And I don't know, I've been where it's a lot of older people, so like, oh, we used to write this up by hand, and it's like you have to like bridge the gap of that. And then I think similar how when I went on my project to Lithuania, and this is what I proposed for them to do, is really just look and improve their processes. And it's a lot of on this like process oriented, but that's where a lot of people do things out of intuition or how they did in the past, but it's not really working like to achieve that bigger goal. And you need a bit more discipline and I think large organizations to get to the ultimate result and some real deadline. So I feel like I think that's where I add value and kind of seeing, observing people, and it's a really nice like community building, and nice to see like what it's not sometimes about money, but organizing people in bigger groups. It's a skill, I think. So
yeah, it's definitely a skill, and it's a creative skill. It takes a lot of creativity to be able to see what's happening and put in place new processes and systems. So that can make a huge value on people and nonprofits, and as you described. So that's really, 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 really cool. Thank you for sharing that. We have just a couple minutes left, Amaya. Do you want to share?
Yes, sure. Yeah, I was thinking that I can bring creativity to create an assessment tool of collective action for promoting agroecological transitions in Bolivia. That is the work that I'm doing for my dissertation. And of course, I have to be very creative to assess all these things, create surveys and ways to understand this aspect. And this is with an indigenous community in Bolivia, so I have to travel there and learn about their culture. So will be a lot of work that I have to create. No. Then the other idea that I had is that I have this school farm project, but I'm thinking that will be also a well-being like resort. So it's like a place where you can learn to grow your food, but also to cook the food. And I would like to have like a meditation at the same time and relaxing activities with nature, like bringing all that together. So yeah, I have a lot of things to think and put down as possible projects.
Very cool. I love those creative ideas, and I can't wait to see you bring them into action because I know you will. Okay, so we're 1 minute over time, so I'm going to just wrap it up. Our next session, we're going to talk about contribution. So we're going to be talking about like the ways that we lead, like what leads to fulfillment without exhausting us, like making sure that we're contributing back to the world in a way that's really aligned with who we are and our creative expression. So let me end with a quote. Let me pull it up here. Okay, this quote is from Martha Graham. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one you in all time, this expression is completely unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. So remember, there's only one of you in this world, so you might as well be 100% fully, authentically, creatively yourself always. And that's it. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you next week unless you have any questions or any last comments.
thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Hi, Mary. Thank you.
Mary. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
You too.